Hi students, as promised, I am here to record another session on a topic which is very important for you, and that is the topic for functions. But what will we discuss in the topic for functions? Primarily, the purpose for conducting this session is that you already know since class 9 you have been writing a lot of programs, and now you have reached a stage where you have realized that all the principles and elements of object oriented programming that you had read and studied, uh, they have not been implemented yet. You have not come across any program where you could implement them yet. So this is one of the topics where partially it also supports, or it is important for the students to learn who are students of procedure oriented programming, as well as for those students who are learning object oriented programming. Now, for procedure oriented programming, when you read the book, the same book which you are referring to and has been covering the topic for you to understand the difference and the evolution of object oriented programming from procedure oriented programming, you would have realized that there were programming languages earlier which were like C, Basic, okay? These were the programming languages, Fortran, and from there we have gradually, evolved and reached a stage where we are now studying Java, C++, etc. So these are all OOP, object oriented programming, where these were considered as POP, procedure oriented programming languages. So, but both of them do support something called, both of them support procedures. Both of them support procedures. Now, what are these procedures? Procedures, for some programming language, they use the term procedure, but for some, they use the term methods or functions. Methods or functions. So, since we are focused only for Java at the moment, Java programming language, and that also for school level. So we will try to use both these terms, methods and functions. So we will not try to use this term now. As of now, we will try to use the terms methods and functions. So those students who have come with a basic knowledge of other programming languages, for example C, they will know that a very big problem when you need to develop a solution for a big problem, then you may divide that entire solution or the program into many parts called subprograms or functions. So that same thing we are going to implement here in Java. We can and we will try to do work using subprograms or functions. But there are there is a very big question then, do we write those functions by ourselves, or there are readily available functions? Now for standard purposes, there are some general purpose functions, okay? So those are called as library functions. So these you can just import at any point of time and you can use them. So there are many libraries, many packages are there, and from those packages, for example, if you're using the IO package or the util package or the math package, okay, so inside that there are many functions, many classes, and each of those different classes have defined many functions inside them using which you can carry out. For example, say util. So under util you have a class called scanner, and inside scanner there are many functions which are used to carry out specific tasks. For example, if you say next int, so this is a function which is used to scan an integer number. Then there is a function called next float. So this is a different function which is used to scan a decimal point number. So this way you can proceed. There is no issues. But these are only to perform some specific tasks. Now there may be some custom requirement for a program or a problem where you need to start using or declaring your own defined user defined functions. User defined. So you will define them. you will declare them. So what are the rules and how do you do it, and how are you going to implement them, use them in your programs? So for that, first some basic things that you need to understand about user defined functions, or we also called as the UDFs, user defined function, is number one, there can be a function, usually a function. Let us look first at the structure. So let us look at the structure first, how it looks like. So you are very well aware how a function looks like. Now you will see, I'm going to refer to the usual one which you use in your program: public, static, void, main. Okay, so and then you have the body which is written inside. So similar to this main, which is a function in that you use in a C program, C++, or a Java program, which actually means that this is the controlling function of your program. Similar to this, you can write also your own functions. So those functions can have, instead of main, a different name which you may specify. But of course, you have to remember that the rule for declaring a function name as according to the same rule which applies to declaring an identifier like a variable name. Okay, so that rule also applies here. So it needs to be a name. The function name, user defined function name, needs to be a name which should not be a variable name. It should not have spaces. So all those rules apply. So usually it is the name related to the task that it performs. So if it is going to calculate the area of a triangle, so you give it the name area triangle. So if you give such names for a function, then it becomes more meaningful, and will also be accepted by your teacher, by your school, by the board, by the council. So name should always be meaningful. So that is one very important thing. Now if you look at the structure says that first you should mention what should be the accessibility for that function. Should it be public, should it be private, protected? So that term comes first. Then whether it's a static, that means it's one copy available for all the objects of the same class. Will that function return a value? So will it return or not return? So if we talk about void means that this function, after doing whatever it has to do, will not return anything. So void means there is nothing that it has to give back. You just call the function, it will do its job, but it doesn't have anything to give back to you. Then static, I told you that it means one copy available for all objects of the class. And public means its accessibility. So whether anybody can access from within the class, outside the class, and so on. So, and this brace will define the body, that means whatever you want to write within it. So this is just the structure. Now following these structures, what different layouts, what different or how many different ways that you can declare your user defined functions, let us look at that. Okay, so we'll try to list out one by one. The first one, the easiest one that we'll take example for is function or user defined function without parameters and without any return value. So this is the first type. So you need to know that how many ways you can declare a function. Second is a function where we'll see the examples also, but first let us list out. So function without parameters and without any return. Where can you use this? You may be thinking that this function is not going to accept anything, is not going to give back anything. Then what use does it have? Most of the functions initially you will find that are of that nature. You just consider your public static void main. We write main, but it is void. That means it doesn't return. Main, we write main, and the parenthesis is left blank. So if it is left blank means it doesn't accept anything. So neither it accepts, neither it returns, but it still does a job. So we do require this type of functions. Then function without return value, but with parameters. That means it accepts. So you keep noting down. Then function with return value, but without parameters. So all possible combinations that we can think of. Fourth is function with parameters, and with return. This is one of the most important. So that is why I have I tried to underline. Okay, so functions with parameters and with return. And we can list out another one, which is we call as recursive functions. So this session is actually going to be very long. So we'll try to divide it into parts. So you consider this as the first part of the lecture, and here we are going to show you various examples for only probably, let's see how much time permits, and we'll try to accordingly. So I hope you have already recorded or written, or you have paused and written. So let's consider the first type of function, which is a function which does not accept anything and does not return. So where its use will come. So from here onwards, if you are going to write programs, we'll try to attend to questions. We'll try to explain to you that what kind of questions will demand the use of this type of functions. So let us discuss a question like, for example, the question is, you write a class or you design a class. They may ask you design a class to declare two members or two data members and two data members, say roll number and name. Design a class to declare two data members, roll number and name, and use a function to assign initial values and also display them. So this is a you might find it very funny, but examples when we take, they can be very arbitrary. That means they may not have any particular use, but our target is, our purpose is that we need to explain to you that what different situations you can apply this type of functions. So this is the question. Let us see how to apply this. So roll number and name we mentioned. So you design a class, so you say class student, because usually student will have a roll number and name. So class student, and you declare the members. So you have not done this before. This is the first time you're doing it. You're writing straight away inside the class integer roll number and string name. Name obviously cannot be any other data type. It can be a character array, but we have chosen the string. Now they said, according to the question, that you need to declare a function which will give some initial value to them and print. So what you do is, you can take void set, and inside you say roll number is equal to 10 and name equals to John. And then, since the question demanded the output as well, so you can say println roll is equal to plus roll number, and the next one is println name is equal to plus name, and then you close the set function. Now this is it. Whatever was the question, this is the solution to it. Now how do you don't have a main function, so how do you execute it? So let us see how to execute it. I hope you will pause and write down the code. Now let me see whether it's visible. Very much visible. Now what we will do is, in your BlueJ interface, this is how it looks like, and this is where your classes are. So this class name was student. So you will see that once you have saved the program that you write in the class and you close the window, you get the screen where you can see your class. So you point the cursor on it and right click and choose compile. So moment you choose compile, then all those diagonal lines that appear on the top of the name will disappear. And then after compilation, that means first step is compile. The second step, so if it's successful, there is no error. So you right click and choose new student. You choose new student. So moment you choose new student, it will prompt you with another dialog where you need to type the name of the student. So it will also come up with its own suggestion for the name of the student. So it may be coming here as student 1 or something like that. So whatever is coming, if you are fine with it, then just click OK. You don't want the default name, but you want some other name to be given for the object, because this process of right click and choosing new student is the process for creating an object of this class. Okay, please understand that this is the process for creating an object of the class student. So that is why that is why this term new is written. So this is the operator or the keyword which helps you to create an object. So moment you click OK after giving the name for the object or whatever is the name, you accept that, you will find that there will be a reddish color rectangle here or a square which may come with that name on it, whatever name you gave for the object. So if the name is student 1, then it will come here as student 1, and the object is created. But then how do your program has still not executed, because your program actually is written inside a function, and that function name is set. It is not main. Had it been main, then you could have executed it automatically, but since it is not main, so you need to right click on the object, right click on object, right click on object, and choose function name. So function name will come here as set. So you just click the set function, let it execute. So once you let it execute, then on the output screen, okay, for this program, you can see that it will display roll number is equal to 10 and name is John. So that is how it's going to come. So there are times where you may require a function to just display to you a certain data, and that data may be set from before. So then this is the type of function that will be required for you. The second type of function that we were talking about is a function which accepts but does not return. That means you can, the function which accepts but does not accepts parameters, so you can write here like this, parameter or parameters, but does not return any value. So this, I hope you have already noted down earlier when we discussed about the different ways in which you can write functions. So let us straight away go to an example. So here I am giving a question. Design a class to define a function which accepts two integer numbers and prints the sum of the two numbers. So this is a very simple question. Here it is. So let us try